Good morning, everyone. Well, it's morning where I am. Welcome back to peg parsing. We're going to be taking another step today, possibly. So first, a bit of housekeeping. This is the last stream for a couple weeks because I'm going on vacation, and I usually do not program at all when I'm on vacation. So we are going to be gone, and I will not be doing peg parsing for the next couple weeks. I might be thinking about it. That's sometimes unavoidable, but I try to unplug as much as possible whenever I go on vacation. So let's see. So I'm not going to be on for the next couple weeks at least. And also the other kind of housekeeping thing that I wanted to bring up today is around naming. So far I've been. So I was thinking, what's a good name for a peg grammar? Well, there actually aren't a whole lot of words that start with or have peg in them. There were two obvious choices: Pegasus, which was already taken by another C# peg parsing library, so I didn't want to use that one. And then there's Arpeggio is the other one that I thought of, which is also kind of taken. It's taken by a peg parsing library, but for a different language. I think, is that Python? I don't remember. But there's another language that has a peg parsing library called Arpeggio, which was my, which was another choice that I had thought of, a good one. So it's kind of like stretching around at the beginning of this project and kind of settled on peg leg, like thinking like a pirate theme. We could have. You could have, you could have some fun with the icon and stuff like that. But it occurred to me a week or so ago, and I was like, actually, some people might find that actually offensive. So I looked it up. I'd never heard of the term. I've never heard the term peg leg used this way, but apparently it can be used in a rude way for people with artificial limbs. So I'm going to want to change the name, and I'm not sure what to call it. So I put out a poll on Twitter. If you're watching live, drop an idea in the comments or on the chat, or just follow up on that Twitter poll. I put some out there. I'm not a huge fan. Like, you could just do like peg CS or peg sharp or something like that. I'm not a huge fan of naming libraries like that, just because everybody does that. It's kind of the dry name, Yeah, you can do that, and it will get the point across. A peg parser written in C#. Fine, I get it. It might make sense. Peg CS might actually, or pegs maybe might make sense for this project, because not only are we doing peg grammars, but they also will embed C# code inside of them. So that might actually make more sense than normal. Most of my libraries do not follow that naming convention. It's like naming all the Java libraries J something. It's like, okay, I get it. It's a Java library. And then for a little while there was the N naming convention for .NET. So everything started with N, and I'm glad that one is no longer really used by anyone. I never really liked that naming convention. So anyway, thinking about naming. I put out a few ideas in the Twitter poll, but feel free to jump in with any more. I just don't find many words that have peg in them, or phrases. You could say like sharp peg, or like steak, like STAKE, but that one is a little bit more obscure. Anyway, so thinking about naming, I've got the poll set up. I did it this morning for like a week, so let your opinion be known, and I'll rename it when I get back from vacation, probably. Rename it to something. Not sure what yet. But anyway, continuing on with our project here today, let's jump back into the code. So it has been a little while since I looked at this, but I've got our basic syntax here, and this is just, this isn't the full grammar. This is just really just the what's the word, like the atoms of the grammar, really. the lower level things. It doesn't define how to make a rule or anything like that yet. So let's see. I was thinking just a little bit before the stream started, and I was like, what do I want to do next? I'm kind of wondering, because right now our code is very simple. This is our grammar right now. You know, I might want to change this to PegCS too, since it is like a C# peg file. I'm going to do that first. Anyway, so we've got this like a handwritten peg parser here that really just reads an identifier, and it uses like peg style systems to do so. So it's looking for, you know, here's our letters or underscores. That's what it starts with, and then any letters, underscores, or digits, and that's what an identifier is. And you know, I'm using the ordered choice that's in peg and the 0 or more. So that is, you know, I mean, it works, and I'm using actual character ranges and things like those, which actually I'm not probably going to end up with. Yeah, so I've got these character range. Yeah, that character range isn't even going to exist in our final parser support. Instead, so what I'm planning with this kind of peg parser, a lot of peg parsers do this, and you know, the official, you know, here's the peg papers and that kind of thing, all follow this style, where they use peg for literally every character in the input. But realistically, I think that it makes more sense to have a to use regular expressions for the lexing part. Traditionally, languages are split into parsers and lexers, and the lexers consume the string input and produce tokens, and then the parsers consume the tokens and produce, you know, an abstract syntax tree or whatever. And with peg parsers, the tradition has been to combine them. So the peg parser acts as both a parser and a lexer, and that works. You know, it's nice. It's uniform, but the one of the disadvantages to that, aside from efficiency, efficiency is one of the main concerns, especially with a memoizing parser, because you know, you're memoizing at every step, every character, potentially. So efficiency is one concern, and the other concern is that it can complicate error handling. So it can create some. If you're having problems like in the middle of a token. It can be difficult to know exactly what the problem is. And this is just, you know, speaking from experience of me writing other peg parsers. So error handling is something that I want to keep top of mind when designing my peg parser. And I really do believe that that encouraging, you know, peg parsers can allow this, right? Can allow this kind of construct to say this is what an identifier is. But really, what we want to encourage is using a higher level construct for your tokens. Not like actual tokens, but things that act like tokens in your language. So that's why, you know, right from the very beginning, and some peg parsers use this, some don't, I wanted to have regular expression support. So the idea is, you know, if you've got this idea of an identifier, which like we do in our peg language, the rule names are going to be identifiers, that should really be represented as a regular expression in your grammar, and not like, here's any of these characters and that kind of thing. And I actually removed the support for character ranges, if you look at this syntax, and that's to really encourage the use of regexes, because character ranges are actually supported as regexes, as it says here. So if you want a character range in this peg grammar, it actually has to be a regular expression, And then, the idea is, well, I want to do, A to Z for my identifier, but it's not understanding character ranges. Oh, I have to use a regular expression. Well, then I'll just use a regular expression for the whole identifier, which is exactly what we want consumers to do. So I'm like deliberately avoiding character range support to encourage people to use regular expressions. So I think I might start with regular expression support, since that is going to be like our tokenizer, so to speak. But really, I think actually first I need to first I need to do. First, I want to take a look at how we're actually passing around the input, and boy, nothing like live coding, right? What am I even going to do today? I think I want to take a look at how I'm passing around the input. This is a read-only memory, and that can be sliced, right? And this does work in NetStandard 2.0. The NetStandard 2.0 restriction I find rather annoying. I have to have it because the because the Visual Studio plugins require NetStandard 2.0. So like the source generators that we have here. So this file essentially has to live inside of a NetStandard 2.0 assembly. And I assume that the reason that restriction exists is because whatever Visual Studio is, part of Visual Studio is hosting these, is probably right now .NET Framework, but they want to eventually make it .NET Core. That's the only possible reason I can think of for having a NetStandard restriction on the source generators. Again, I don't know if that's the case, but I assume so. So anyway, we have that restriction, and it's kind of annoying because I keep wanting to use things like memory spans and things, and some .NET 6 things that work natively with spans that I end up having to, let's see, have I run into that yet? I think so. Right, I end up having to, oh no, I think I was looking at that with the state. So like you've got like this input range. Well, this should really be a range. Pull this so that everything comes up to date here. Take a quick look at these warnings here. Oh wow, something's not right. Oh, it's one of these fun errors where the runtime has disappeared. Beats me. I just upgraded Visual Studio this morning, so maybe not the best time here. So it should be, okay, dual compiling, sure. And these are all .NET 6 errors. Interesting. Huh. It's like something happened to my .NET 6 install. Oh, that's a bummer. Nothing like debugging when you're supposed to be programming live, right? All right. So let's see here. It's complaining about loading analyzers. Shouldn't be a problem. I don't think I have any kind of a directory props or in here or anything. Okay, nope. So this is everything we have. I don't really see anything wrong here. I am on a preview version now. Sometimes things break, but usually not like this. I wonder if I have to have that language version of preview in there for the .NET standard, I think. Yeah, okay. Well, let's figure this out here. Let's see what SDKs do we have. 60300. And it's looking for a 60300 preview, and I don't know where that one's coming from. I don't know if there's a... Should all show the... should show the preview versions in there if I have them, and I don't. So, alright. It looks like my Visual Studio update this morning broke something, so let's jump into the Visual Studio installer. And today on Peg Parsing, you don't get to actually watch any Peg Parsing. Alright, so this is the one we're using. I'm just looking in here to make sure that we have our .NET 6.0. I see the runtime. What I want is the SDK. Right. It's the .NET SDK now. Okay. I don't see any preview versions in here. Fair enough. First things first, let's restart Visual Studio. Maybe that will help. Actually, I should have grabbed that error message and see if it's even installed. Yeah, there we go. I just needed to restart Visual Studio. Even though the installer restarted it for me, apparently that wasn't enough. Okay. Preview versions, what can you do? All right, what was I talking about? Oh yeah, so this input range here. So, what are you doing now? You're breaking again? How is this possible? You know, I bet it's actually just reading some old files there. There we go. Well, it's building anyway, even if the UI is giving me errors. So, so this input range, you know, it's really just a range, right? Pretty much the same as the range type. Right. And I'm using this. Okay, yeah, I'm using this for some of my state stuff. And really, what I'd really like to use here is like a memory, probably. Read-only memory of char, maybe. Yeah. What I end up using is just an input range, and then that's kind of like implicitly attached to the memory / string of the input. So the reason that I have to do that, do it this way and kind of like make my own range, or at least like what I want to use is memory, but I have to like make my own instead. And the reason is because there's not proper support for, or not full support for regexes on NetStandard 2.0 over memories. Memory is one of those things, you know, I've added it with the NuGet package, so I have like the memory type, I can do basic things, but a lot of those newer APIs I don't have access to in the .NET Standard world. So that's the restriction that I'm being annoyed with here. Because I want to just use memory and call it done, which I would be able to do if this was all .NET 6. So anyway, so when we're looking at this, what we end up having to do is like this read-only memory is not going to work. Is not going to work when it comes to regexes, and the reason for that is when we have a regex, we can just new up a regex there, and then when we dot into this, there is a match and matches, and let's see what we get. Oh, this is just NetStandard, isn't it? Yes, it is. Okay. So there's nothing in, let me jump over to this other project here just to see the difference. So if we let's grab any one of these really, we're in here and it's not going to show us anyway because it's got these weird errors. All right, so if we switch to .NET Standard, and this is here. So we've got matches. This is really annoying. Okay, I'm going to see if I can. Going to exit Visual Studio. We're going to clean this out properly here. And this is pig leg. So delete the Visual Studio directory. Gonna jump in. Actually, that one didn't have any problems. Just this one. Delete bin and object. And restart Visual Studio. This is kind of like the dance of Visual Studio is misbehaving. Let's see if we can make it work. It's restoring everything. All right. We build succeeds. Let's see if you're still showing me all the errors. Not now. Okay, cool. Thank you. All right. So if you ever have problems with Visual Studio, that's something you have to do now. Okay, so in the .NET 6 world, we have a match. And matches, and I want to say that there's actually a different API. Yeah, so this is, I think, is the API we'd have to use in .NET Standard. There's regex.match, and what you need is like the entire input as a string, no less, not just a memory, and the beginning and the length. Whereas in .NET 6, we would want to use one of those. I'm not going to remember this. Okay. Let me pop open my Google Chrome here and say, what is my regex memory? And say C# because both of those are very generic words. Let's see. Regex improvements in .NET 5, yes. Thank you, Stephen Toe. He's done a great job of documenting .NET improvements over the last few years. Okay, so we've got a blah, blah, blah. Yeah. It's got code gen, which we actually might be able to use. Oh, that's not a bad idea. What if you can do that? I wonder if you can use a regex. Is there a regex code generator? And then you could actually like, I don't know if this would work, but if the peg parser code generator, found the regexes and then put those in as code generated regexes, that would be pretty cool. I don't know if regex actually supports that with code generation, right, or source generation. It's called. All right, so what I'm looking here is specifically like for span support. I thought this was done. Did this get added in? Closed as completed. Nice. Enumerate matches, that's what it is. I knew it had a different name. Okay, so it's an enumerate matches method that we would use in .NET 6, I thought. Am I in .NET 6? I am. Here's my enumerate matches. Maybe it's not in .NET 6 yet. That's possible. When was this done? April? Okay, yeah, it could be .NET 7. All right. Fair enough. Okay, so it's not even done, technically. Fine. Okay, but eventually I would want to use like that updated span memory support that they're adding to regex. So I guess I couldn't do that with this project yet anyway. So anyway, we don't have memory-based overloads. You can't like regex against a memory right now. You actually have to regex against a string, and that's what's annoying about it. So what that means is my input is no longer just a memory, which I want. If you look at my test project over here, or my test parser, the handwritten parser, this is what I want. It's nice, it's clean, it's one type, it's got this, contiguous block of characters that I can split and whatever, or not split, but my memory is still not quite right of some of the words here. It just takes me a few seconds. That's slicing. That's what I'm referring to. So you can like slice it and whatever very efficiently, and it's a beautiful abstraction, which unfortunately does not work with regex, which I really need for my peg parser. So instead of this, I have to have string begin end everywhere, and pass around that triplet instead of a nice read-only memory. But it is what it is. I wonder if it's possible to provide a read-only memory API. Well, once the regex support comes in. I'm surprised that isn't already there. Okay. So there's nothing in this in the Microsoft Docs yet, right? Because they don't really do the previews, do they? Oh, they do previews. If I'm in preview 4, enumerate matches, there it is. All right, yeah. So this is, just double check here. It is just in .NET 7 preview 4. Okay. But this is the kind of thing that I would want to use. Probably this one right here. To say, here's my input, which is just a span, one type or one object, really nice. Constant pattern and some options. And then you get back this this enumerator, which then actually you can enumerate over the results, which are value matches, more efficient kind of match too. So that way, with the regex over strings, you do end up allocating a bunch of strings, tiny strings, and they just get thrown away anyway. So it's just annoying. It's not a huge deal because they're very short-lived, I would expect. So anyway, okay, so we've got, so anyway, for now we're going to have to, since we can't use this yet, which is what I really want to use. So for now, I'm just going to expose like a string start end kind of API. And then when support for this comes out, .NET 7, I could target .NET 7 preview, I guess. But when support for this comes out, then I could actually, at that point, add another API that works over read-only memory of char, which would be really nice. That's my eventual goal with this peg library here, is to have this kind of API. So for today, I'm going to have to change this to use strings, and it's going to annoy me because I really want to use read-only memory pretty much everywhere, but I can't change from read-only memory to string without allocating. Yeah, we're going to have to plumb it all the way through with string begin end instead of using read-only memory, just because of that one API. Boy, that's annoying. Okay, but at least it will eventually be fixed. All right, so let's let's see, what do I want to do? I want to, let's see. So I'm thinking in my head, like, do I want to try to get to where I can bootstrap it as quickly as possible? Maybe. But maybe that's not the best approach. Maybe what I want to do is actually write out more of this by hand, more of this syntax support by hand, and go from there. Well, you know, either way, I'm going to need that regex support really soon. So let's start with that. It's something to start with at least. And actually, what are we returning in this parse result here? This parse result right now is it's just got that memory. Yeah, it's plumbed through everywhere, and all this is going to have to change. It's got a parse result. Oh, so this is just matching memory. Got it. So, yeah. Fair enough. And then we've got a parse result with an actual type on it to return something. Do we actually use that anywhere? I don't think we do. We do. We do not. This create is called. Okay. And this create. Yeah. We don't actually use this parse result anywhere. And then I've got this unit down here. Forget that. I was thinking maybe, maybe we want to unify a parse result of G and parse result. We might. That's all like future considerations. We don't have to think about that right now. All right, so really what I need to do is say, right now we're just matching memory. So, or like substrings essentially. But we don't want to create substrings. I definitely do not want that. Some peg parsers out there are like very liberal with their string generation, and I want to avoid string generation as much as possible. So I'm going to end up with this, this substring. And that's not a bad idea. What if I have a substring type? I can define a substring type that right now is string begin end, but in the future, or in like .NET 7, could change to be just a read-only memory. A single field struct. I kind of like that idea. I'm going to try that. So let's do, so let's define, this would go in the runtime, I think. And it's essentially going to replace this input range here. So let's do a substring. I'm really unsure about that name, but we'll call it what it is here. So this is going to be, I'm not sure if I want it public. Because I want all the members, well, you can still have all the members be private and force everything to go through like accessors. That would work. We can do that. All right, so I'm going to say that this is going to have a string value. Show that. Let's make this properly read-only. Oh, that's pretty good IntelliSense there, although I'm going to say start and end. Index and offset is like the .NET standard. Start and end is used in most other places, and I prefer start and end. That's index of the start and inclusive, and exclusive index of the end. And that's just really convenient when you're doing things like slicing. And in fact, the new range types and all that kind of stuff in C# all use that style instead of doing index offset or index length. They all use start and end with those different read-only intent. Thank you. With those different semantics. So the problem is, even the constructor is going to have to change. I wonder if I can make this internal. Well, I'll just do it as is for now. And this will, of course, do the obvious thing. Ooh, you know what I saw the other day? I haven't actually done this yet, but it's this horrible trick where you can assign all of your things using tuples. I don't know if that adds any inefficiency, but boy, is that ever? I don't know. It's clever, but it's also kind of awkward. It's new, you know. I'm like, I don't know. That's the first time I've ever actually written that, so we'll see. All right, to do maybe internal. And then we can do something very similar here with just a single string entry, which would be, the start would be 0 and the end would be the length of the string. Because it's an exclusive end, it's very convenient. All right. I don't know, I kind of like that constructor syntax. It's odd, but I like it. Okay, so what we want to expose is normally a read-only memory of char is what we normally want to expose from value, which is going to be, don't know if I can do this in .NET Standard. Can I say that? Do I? Okay, I'm not familiar enough with my range syntax. Let's see here. So you can do from the end, sure, here we go. This is, oh, it's the ... That's what it is. So is the end exclusive? I believe so. Yeah. So this should just be like that. And no. Well, actually, no. I was thinking about bringing in system range and system index because I think those are in a NuGet package, but we don't really need them. We can just say, give me an as memory, and then slice it using start and end length. Okay, so meh. So then we've got start and then end minus start. Okay, so that's kind of like translating the start end into the index length pattern. All right. So, just doing a boundary check in my head, because start and end, when they're the same, which is totally valid using start and end semantics, that is equivalent to a length of 0. So yes, it's underscore end minus underscore start. No off by 1 errors there. All right, so we've got like this substring type that we can generate from a string. We can pull out a read-only memory into a value here on this value property. And I'm also going to need to access the underlying values, which is unfortunate. And this is for the regex support. We're going to have to get at that string value, the start and the end. I'm wondering if I want to return it as a length instead. Anyway, We can add that when we need it. So right now it's just going to be like this, a read-only. The abstraction is a read-only memory. It's implemented as a substring, which does limit its usage, but it's unavoidable until we get to .NET 7. Okay, so we've got the substring. We'll add more to that as we need. We will need some more to it. But essentially, this parse result is going to become this substring here. This is going to break everything in a minute. Do we have parse state? Okay. Where is this actually used? Oh, it's in the parse result of T. Yeah, this is all stuff that I was just speculating on. We don't actually use that yet. But this parse result is currently being used by my test, my handwritten peg parser here. So I'm just going to change this real quickly to use substrings, and then we're going to extend this to work with regexes. Let's see, so this is going to be substring, maybe, come on, name this to substring. I'm not going to rename anything else. And then this is going to become, yeah, we can do some slicing. You can support slicing with the substring. I like that. So really this is going to become another substring here. And this is going to be a slice. And this slice, the only thing is I don't like those index length semantics, but if I'm not going to use them, then I really shouldn't use the word slice either. Is there anything that uses begin end? There's not. Okay, then I'm just going to stick with slice just for consistency. So this is going to be a substring, and we're going to allow slicing into this thing with an index and a length. And this is going to be with the same value, but the index is now going to be offset by the new index, and the ending value, yeah, this is where it gets kind of awkward. So IntelliSense is saying end minus index. I gotta figure out if that's right or not. Let's see. So end would be our current end, and we're slicing into this with a certain length. The end would be, let's base it off of the index. Let's calculate the new end based off of the index. So the new end would be, oops, that's not what I wanted, not index plus index. I want underscore index plus index. Underscore start, my bad, plus index. Yeah, so let's figure out from the new start. So it'd be underscore start plus index, and then plus length, right? Is that it? That's all we need? I think so. Yeah, underscore start plus index is the new begin, and then the end would be the length added to that. Yeah, okay. So we just want this to be start plus index plus length. which is not at all what the IntelliSense suggested. Okay, good try, good try. AI-based coding. I mean, it's the big thing right now, but I have my reservations. All right, say the least. All right, and then we've got an empty one. So, still requires a substring. And we can just create that. Empty one can have, like an empty range can still have a position. That's the idea behind this. So it's not just like the empty string. You know, that's not what it is. It's actually an empty substring at a specific index in that in a string. Okay, so let's we've changed up our parse result, and now our entire thing up here is completely broken because we're not even going to be taking the same parameters anywhere. So I'm just going to come all the way back up to the top and change things. So we are going to use substrings everywhere essentially. I'm just going to break everything as I go. Here we go. Well, so far this is all just going to get passed on down. Nobody cares. And then we have to update our higher order things. These are no longer taking these kind of functions. They're taking substrings. Actually, I'm just going to work my way down like this. So essentially everywhere where we were using a read-only memory, which is what I really want to use, we now have to use our own custom substring type, which will in .NET 7 just be a struct wrapper around read-only memory. Close enough. Okay. Just coming on down. And then after all these are, I guess I could have just, I didn't want to do like a global search and replace because I only want to change the parameter types and return values right now. I don't want to change up any of this kind of stuff because I want to take a look at all that. So if we're actually using read-only memories anywhere in here, I don't want to change those yet. Oh, you know, I could expose an actual read-only memory. That is a great idea, actually. Yeah, let's do that. Okay, so here's some things that we don't support yet. We don't support taking a span, which we could. We don't support taking the length. We don't support slicing with just a single argument. That's fine. We don't support taking, don't support getting a memory. This is really just the length anyway, right? That'd be the same as value.length. Oh no, because this is a parse result, so it's a value.memory, and now this is a substring. .length, so that's a substring length. Same here. It looks like that's all we have to support is getting the length and getting a slice with a single argument. Yeah, exposing a read-only memory here isn't actually going to be as helpful as I thought because most of these are passing these down to other methods, which then have to take substrings. They can't take read-only memories. So, fair enough. All right, so we've got a slice. Let's add in support for a single slice, which I think is just a new index. So this would be substring. The value is going to be the same. The start plus index, that's correct. The end minus index is not correct. Or is it? Actually, in this case, it would be correct. Yeah, actually that one would be correct here. The end minus index, because that's reducing the scope of that. Okay, there's no boundaries checks on these slices at all, and I think I'm okay with that, actually. I might come to regret that decision. The idea being that this kind of slicing is only going to be done internally by the peg parser, so it shouldn't ever be a problem. We'll see. Oh, I am exposing read-only memory here. Okay, although I don't really need to. But the other thing we need is a length. Easy enough. Which is going to be n minus start. Okay. So if this is start plus index and minus index. Okay. All right. I was just thinking of maybe re-expressing this last parameter here, but it's fine. I think it makes sense as it is. All right. So what else is broken here? Memory.length. Oh, right. That should be substring. And the span. Okay, we still need spans. That we can support directly with, I'm going to say this is a read-only span. And this is going to be span, and then we're going to slice it into, this is start and length, so yeah. And actually we'll just make this a little bit cleaner. Passing in length here. All right. So this value, don't really need. I'm just going to delete it for now. Okay. So we've got a span support. We've got length. We can slice these things. We now have like this substring type, and now parser's all building. Let's build the whole thing and see what happens. Oh, right, because it's not going to pass in the first parameter correctly. So we've got this string. Could do an implicit conversion maybe, but I'm not going to do that. All right, so this should work for taking the string of the contents of the file, wrapping it in the substring, which now just represents the whole string, and that's what we use at the beginning of our parser. Okay, and then when we get the result out from the parse, we say this is currently a, oh, right. That one's also a substring. And I probably want to override the toString on that. That's not a bad idea. So I'm going to do, let's see here. Let's take this. What do I want it to be? I actually just want the substring. And I actually have to return a string, so I may as well just make it an actual substring. So, so this is going to be underscore value dot substring, index and length. Okay, so we're at start and length. Looks good. Now that should, let's build this again. we should be able to, at this point, let's check out our grammar, see what's being built here. Again, this is under analyzers, and then your actual pig analyzer name. I don't know why that says a minus on it. This dialog doesn't really show its errors very well. This generator is not generating files. Okay. Oh, something broke. Interesting enough. I don't see any other errors here. This is Net Standard 2.0. Okay. And then right. So this is the runtime that builds in both. And then this is the actual plugin over here. Why aren't you generating files? What fun. I don't actually know. I'm gonna try restarting Visual Studio. Nothing like preview stuff, right? I'm on preview because the source generator support at least was much better in the preview version until I upgraded this morning. All right, now we're still seeing an error here. What is going on? How do I see what this error is? Error, source generators. All right. Let's see if there's anything that's still opening. Okay, nothing in any kind of output. Oh, here we go. Could not load type. An instance of analyzer, C# diagnostic analyzer, fields analyzer. Okay, these are spurious errors. These are not having to do with my my generator, which for some reason they treat as an analyzer here. Okay. All right, that's all it says. Boy, and I can't get anything else out of this thing. Where is this coming from? Wow, okay. I don't know what this even means. It's coming from an image moniker? Sure. Okay, so let's jump over here. Looking for more recent things because, yeah, it's an annoying restriction. All right. It's possible that some of the support for generators may require something. Possible that changed without me realizing it. Okay, so I'm an incremental generator. I have the attribute on it. It's just not working for some reason. Do we have? Yeah, it's got to be as a dependency because it's still showing up there. So we've got this thing here. As a project reference, yeah, that all looks correct. Okay. I might have to walk through this again and like regenerate the source generator. See what the problem is, what's actually changed. So I don't know if it's the code I changed or because I updated Visual Studio this morning. But it is definitely not working now. Okay. Oh, I don't think it would be a. Oh, ignored. It says ignored. Why is it ignored? Why are you being ignored? Okay. That's being ignored for some reason. Why is my source generator being ignored? Okay. Well, let's see here. Yeah, I was wondering if it might be throwing an exception. Let me see. Or maybe it was throwing an exception. And that got latched. Well, I restarted though. Okay. So let's see. Can I do something like this? Debugging source generators. Not really sure how to do that. So I'm just going to grab an exception here, if it is happening, and I'm going to say, make my own little right. Hopefully that's not the part that's actually, yeah. Oh no, I can't do that here. Of course not. Wow. Sorry, I'm thinking old school source generators and not incremental generators. That try-catch cannot go there. It's got to be inside of this lambda. What we can do is say this. And then let's move all this in here. Yeah, sure. All right. So if we have an exception, then what I want to do is to do this. Yeah, let's just name it after the file. And this could actually stay in here. In the final product, I'm thinking it might not even be a I might not even take this out of the final source generator. So let's just do a toString of that for now. All right. So let's build this. See if it picks that up. It's not. Still ignoring it. All right. All right, Visual Studio. I'm gonna clean you out here one more time. That could be because I never actually cleaned the plugin directory before. All right, let's see if this works. Very clean start here. Oh, wow. Boy, I didn't realize it was this late. I have got to get going. Just wanna see if this thing will actually run now. It's not running still. It's still saying ignored. Don't know why. If I change this. Nothing's happening. Boy. Okay, so yeah, I think this is the Visual Studio update. Something broke with my source generator pretty badly here. So yeah, I might take a look at it later, although this weekend is going to be pretty full getting ready for our trip, and then I'm on vacation, so I might just take a look at this next time. In the meantime, I will check all this in. Like that. Didn't get very far today for input and output. But yeah, if you have any ideas on naming, I'd be glad to hear it, and we will continue this after vacation. Thanks for watching all, and we will see you next time.